Welcome back to the She Inspires podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jade, board certified family medicine physician, wellness and weight loss specialist, owner of the membership medical practice in Las Vegas, WeNSPIRE Primary Care, and I am so excited that you've joined us on the She Inspires podcast. This is the safe space where busy women balance business and wellness. We chat about all the ways we balance all the things, and y'all, we've got a special guest in the house today. The topic today is growing a family empire with my friend Jazmine, or welcome to the podcast.
Hey girl, thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. You know, you are a boss. I love following your journey on socials.
Thank you.
I've loved getting to know you, to see how you balance marriage and motherhood and business, and how you help it to, or how it looks like you blend it all so beautifully, and that you have joy along the journey. And I'm sure there are ups and downs, and we'll talk about that too. But I know some things about you. I'm excited to dig deep into how you have built a beautiful family empire. But tell the She Inspires fam who you are and what you do.
All right, so I am Jazmine Orr. I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a businesswoman, or a boss, like my girl just said. So my business is Create Me Events. We are a local Las Vegas event planning company, but we do travel for events. We do everything from milestone events, weddings, corporate events, and we got our start during the pandemic in 2020. And we've been doing it full time the last 3 years.
So that leads me into my next question.
Yeah.
Walk us through the entrepreneurial journey. Have you always been an entrepreneur? What led to Create Me Events in particular?
No.
Tell us the journey.
So I am, by career, I am an LCSW. So I got my undergrad in psychology, went to school for social work, and I was like, you know what, I want to work with children. So I was in the school setting.
Wow.
Then I went medical. So this tells you a little bit about my personality. Like I just kind of hop around. And so then I ended up wanting to get my licensure, and I became an LCSW and became a clinician to underserved youth. And my braider, believe it or not, she told someone about us for event planning services. So let me preface that with, me and my husband are from Atlanta. We came here just us. We have all of our children.
Yes.
And so in that time, we found things that just brought us joy. We would always love to host things. We were very social. I feel like in marriage, you kind of meet yin and yang.
Yes.
And although he and I's temperament is not the same, we are the same person. We're very social, very outgoing.
Wow.
And so with that, we did a lot of things socially in our home, and we invited people into our lives because all of our family was out of town. And as we posted those things, people kind of knew us to host parties and do interior design things. So I think that is what led my braider to make the recommendation. But nonetheless, during the pandemic, I get a phone call, and it's from my braider's friend, and she's asking me about doing a service for her daughter. I was confused. She didn't preface it with the person who referred her. She just literally simply said, I need your services. And I was like, I'm not taking any clients right now. You know, it's COVID. And she said, listen, my daughter, she's worked so hard to graduate. I want to do this amazing party for her. And I was like, party? And so I said, yeah, I don't do events. And she said, no, you came highly recommended. I know you can do it. And I said, well, let me call you back. So I called my husband.
Yes.
And my husband is like, you know we can do that.
Okay.
And I was like, we can.
And a business was born.
And a business was born. So we did the event. It was my first time taking payment to do someone's event.
Yeah.
And from there, it was like God just opened up everything. And that's how it came to be.
So was the passion for it there? Because there are some things that people will ask me to do, and I'm like, you know, I could do that, but that's not where my heart is, where my passion and calling is.
I understand what you're saying with that. So the name of our company is Create Memorable Experiences. So I used to always have this joke, because I'm such a big, bright personality, is to know me is to experience me. That's what I used to tell people. So because we were so hospitable in doing our own private functions, the passion was there. My passion is for people.
Yes.
Not necessarily, like I can make pretty things just because I can.
Right.
But that wasn't the passion. The passion was the people. So that passion was there, yes.
I love how God will use gifts along our journey, and then in the
100%.
perfect timing, will just make it all make sense.
You could have never told me this,
Yes.
ever. But I do feel like I've always had like that boss mentality in me. From I used to be the candy girl in high school. I knew it was too much work for me, so I hired my friend's sisters to sell the candy for me, and they reported it back to me at the end of the day. So like when I look back, there were pieces that I missed in getting here, but that's why reflection to me is so important. Because I realized, like, it's always been there.
Yeah, it lines up and it's perfect timing. So we got to tap into marriage, okay?
Yes.
Because I love how you and your husband work together so much.
Yeah.
And you all make it look easy, low key. Like, you make it look really easy. And Carlos and I, we had to figure it out as we, started working in business together.
Yeah.
We had to, I had to figure it out. I had to figure out how to stay in my lane. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and not do everything he was supposed to be doing. And I still have to figure that out. And so we had to get into a rhythm. But it's so beautiful to see how you all operate together. And so tell us about the journey of marriage and entrepreneurship and how you all have just grown this business together.
So my husband and I have been together for 20 years. And we've been married 16 years this year. So we grew up together. Thank you, girl. We grew up together. So marriage is so, so important to me. And believe it or not, years ago, I used to tell my husband, like, I always pray to God for the opportunity to work with you. I just think that would be so cool.
Wow.
And he was like, like he was kind of like, I just don't see how that would fit.
Yes.
In terms of my career, what he was doing, it just didn't seem like it would ever integrate. But it did. So I think what happened for us is that he has always been a support to me and a hype person for me. So when I did the business, I knew I needed to lean into him more. I feel like how you said it was you who had to come into alignment with it. Yes. I feel like it was him because essentially this was my idea.
Okay.
So I think those were the workarounds that we had to figure out in our marriage and blending the business together. We have a very strong marriage front because my husband, we're in a blended family.
Okay.
So we have all these things and layers that we had to work out to get our marriage to the point that it is. So by the time the business came, it was easy because we navigated so much. Like, we're the couple that we argue well. When we disagree, it doesn't get crazy. We don't stop talking for days and hours at a time. Like, we just flow and mesh together really well. So I think that that's what made it easier in the business. But as far as some of the challenges that we faced, I would say, again, him coming into the thought that he could leave his job, because my job is very demanding. Our business, what we do. So I knew, yes, I can design and think up all these pretty things, but I require partnership. For me, there are other event planners that do it, and it's just them and they have a team. But for me, I knew I needed him, and I think me needing him, as we know with our husbands, right? Like, that really stroked his ego in a way, like, all right, I mean, I guess I got you.
I guess I can leave this job behind.
Yeah, so he came into it. What really helped us, though, was getting the venue. So as we expanded, we were able to say, this is yours, and this is mine.
I see.
So we do kind of bleed over into each other's area because he always wants support. I always want support. Like, we really lean. We kind of have that codependency, like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
But it helps us.
So one question I have is, how do you all separate the business from the personal? Like, for example, for date nights for Carlos and I, we have a rule. We're like, when we go on date night, there's no business and no kid talk. Like, we are going to talk about other things. Okay, we're going to talk about other things that's not business. Otherwise, I will talk about business all night.
Right.
And I'll talk about all the cute things my kids are doing. And he's like, okay, this is our time. This is our time. So what do you guys do?
We have moments of that. Like, there are times when we really need that. But I feel that it's so integrated for us. Yeah. And the children are involved in the business.
Yes.
So
it works for you.
It works.
Okay.
It works. But I do feel we're very joyful people. We have to find peace and joy and happiness in what we do, or it will not work for us.
Yes.
Like, we were the people like, oh, we have this great job. Yeah, I don't like it anymore. I'm leaving. We always, like, from my parents saying, girl, just leave when I was younger, to my husband saying, just leave, me encouraging him. So we don't stick in anything that does not work for us. Right. So in that, if I need a little more quality one-on-one time with him where it's like it's just about us, we can say that, but we don't necessarily have that rule in place. And we don't find that we necessarily need those boundaries right now. Now, in terms of our work schedule, the boundary is, listen, we're getting help, we're hiring people, so those things come up. But as far as our marriage, I feel like it's hard to separate it, because it really is a part of us. When we're not planning our events, we're planning outings with our friends. So we're always the planner. We're always the host. It's just who we are. So it works.
Okay, that makes sense. So we gotta go back into the motherhood, because you glossed over the blended family, and you have 6 children.
6 children.
You all have 6 children, and so how has motherhood and entrepreneurship looked, and what are some pros you have for the ladies who are listening that are like, wow, I have a lot of children too, and how can I become an entrepreneur?
So the first thing is, my mentality is I'm always Jazmine first, right? So I prioritize my children, my husband, my friends, seeing me make my life about me as well. Like, no one in my life is more important than me. That is just my philosophy. And the way that has helped me, it's given me a very enriched life in terms of what I'm able to pour into my husband, my children, my friendships, any of my relationships that I have. So, as I said, I met my husband 20 years ago. We've been together 20 years. When I met my husband, he had 3 children. He had 3 boys. And so I didn't have any children, but my brother he was a young father as well. So I had that empathy.
Experience.
So I kind of came in like, okay, this isn't a big deal. I didn't think it was going to be anything too serious. Then my husband had another child while we were dating. So I was like, oh my God, like that was a lot.
That's 4.
So he had the 4 boys. By the time our relationship got on a very serious track, I let him know, hey, I want marriage. I desire to be a mother. These are the things that I desire. And he heard me. He had a very great relationship with my parents. So we got into the marital factor. I think the challenge for us was not being in our original, we're from Atlanta. We were here with these children alone. It was just us. So I think the thing that really works well for us as a family, going back into the business sector of it, is that we always have had this desire for exploration and for adventure. So I think that our business is another layer of that, like thinking up things together and how we're going to do it and how that will look for the entire family. I think that is what really moved our family, in terms of like, everybody was really excited about it. They wanted to see, well, what can I do? Well, I want to do this. I'm going to help dad here. I'm going to help mom here. So I think for me, it really bonded us more, because we have another layer outside of just being mom, dad, husband, wife. We added that other component.
So are all 6 of your children involved in the business?
So yes and no. So my boys now are adults. So at the time they were not. They were young adults going off into their own direction. So now I have a son that lives here locally still. So he's involved here and there. My 2 daughters are still at the home with us. So they are involved. So my youngest daughter, she primarily comes in. She's more of the detail-oriented one. Then I have my other daughter. She wants to be a florist now. So she's kind of... We pushed both of them into it, right? The youngest girls, because they're super young. But I felt like I wanted them to understand more than the practical side of business. So I'm very transparent. We are very transparent with our children in terms of the finances. What does an event cost? So when we get inquiries, and my daughters are like, they thought they could pay this for that. Like, they have an understanding of the finances that go into
the budget.
The budget, all of those things are very important. So we've taught them that. I think that we've just given them a skill set, and that is why building the family empire is so important to me, because these are tangible skills that will transfer across anything that they do. Them understanding that they should be paid, and they should be paid well, and how to cultivate a skill set. What do you need to do in terms of training and nurturing that? Like, those are all things that are important. So
they don't teach you that in the schools.
No,
so it's amazing. It's amazing. So tell me about some of your biggest challenges, because we get to see the highlight reels, right? We get to see the beautiful events you all create, and we get to see how joyful you all are. Like the joy that I experience when I'm with you in person, it shines through your socials, right? So, but what are some of the biggest challenges you've had along your entrepreneurship journey, and how did you overcome them?
You know what? The biggest thing is hiring staff. Because we are a family business, we already have our relationships built.
Yes.
Bringing other people into that. As a designer, I'm already in my head. So I had to learn to be able to explain or articulate that to other people for them to execute.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm always going to be in the business.
Yes.
Right? And to scale, I have to kind of be able to pull back a little bit. So that has been a challenge. But with the staff, I think that my children understand my standard throughout life. They know what my expectations are, whether they're in school, whether they're at home, whether they're in public. They know my expectations on the business front. But when you bring other people into that, and I think because I have such a strong personality, like I do not like to beat around the bush. If I have something to say, I just want to say Jade, XYZ. I don't want to say Jade, well, and so some people are not used to that. So I think that I've had to learn, like, oh, these people don't know me. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I just need it done.
Right.
So, navigating that and making sure that I can hire people that not only have our standard, but also our love of people. Customer service is a primary goal of mine in my business, especially being a people-centered service business. Everyone does not have that. And then you also have to worry about people. Vegas is a small town, and I feel like the event industry is ever growing and evolving.
Yes.
So you worry about people coming in with ulterior motives, like, oh, I want to work for you, but they really want mentorship.
Got it.
So that's a challenge.
Yeah, team and growing a team as you scale. We're definitely in that season of Inspire Primary Care, so I understand those challenges. It's amazing when you find, we've been blessed with some amazing team members who have joined Team Inspire, and when it clicks and they do get it and they do give that customer service, it's amazing to be like, oh, someone else can do it better than me. That's amazing.
That's what you need.
Yes, but the trial and error of finding that, sometimes it happens quickly and most of the time it doesn't. So I understand that challenge. So, okay. What are some advice? Mostly the audience, shout out to the gentlemen listening, but most of our audience is busy professional women, and I get asked a lot of questions about how I balance being a mom and a wife and running a business. What kind of pearls would you give to some of the women listening that may desire or are balancing all of those hats?
I really take it a day at a time, honestly. So I'm very good at prioritizing what is important in that moment, and like now. I have a very busy weekend ahead.
Yes.
So what I do is I keep one foot in front of the other. This is what I have to do first, so I give my time to that. I think that when we try to do all the things at all the time, we just don't do it well. So I had to figure out how to prioritize, but still recognizing, like, hey, I enjoy doing these things, so it keeps me in a space of, like, I want to do this. Yes. Because as soon as I don't want to do it, I feel like that's when the underbelly of the attitude, or like, I don't really want to be here. So I try to keep the priority of, these are things that I've signed up for that I want to do, and I try to be engaging when I do them. Like, it's very important to me when I'm doing something that I'm present in that moment.
Yes.
So I find that when I give my whole self to a situation, because like when I'm done here today, I can go on to the next thing and I can say, okay, now I'm excited about this. So I just try to keep it, like I said, one foot in front of the other for me. I think that we overwhelm ourselves when we try to think of the million things that we have going on.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I love that your clientele, you have very high ticket clientele, you work with celebrities, and it's not the budget events. Like, it's elegant, it's beautiful, the prices represent the quality that you provide. So tell me about the journey of attracting your ideal client, successful marketing strategies. How do you attract the people you've called to serve?
Authenticity. I live a life of standard. I have expectations. I like nice things.
Yes.
So I think that people that are not at least at my level, they do not attract to me.
Yes.
And I prefer it that way.
Yes. I'm in the I like nice things club too.
Yes. Right. Literally.
Give me luxury.
So those are my friendships. Those are my relationships. The business contacts I make, those are the people that gravitate towards me and that I gravitate towards. So I think that has been an easy transition. I think another thing is when I want certain things, I am bold enough to say that I want them. I find that other people, regardless of the business they're in, they're kind of thinking of what they want, but they won't articulate it. And I feel like relationships are what build things. Like if you know that I need something and you have access to that resource and we have a good relationship,
right,
you're going to try to connect it for
right.
me. I think the only way that can happen is if I am vulnerable and transparent and I speak on what I want.
Yeah.
So as far as relationships with celebrities and things like that, at a time that was really a goal of mine because I understood that from a marketing perspective, my husband did marketing and sales. So I understood that social media is it's materialistic, if you will.
A little superficial.
So it's superficial. So I feel that when I wanted celebrities, I wanted to almost solidify myself as far as credentialing and saying that if I can work with these people, like these people have this high standard, right? By means for ordinary people, I'll say. So they felt like when I had that clientele, I'm telling you, the floodgates opened up because people are like, oh, if she can work with this person, that's who I want to be attached to. That's who I want to be associated with. And then the relationships that I had in general, these people were really going out and doing a lot of the marketing work for me simply because they knew, like, you know what, this girl, she's going to get it done. She's going to do X, Y, and Z. So, again, me articulating to them, like, you know what, I want more clients like this. I want the high-end people. I want people that are not afraid to spend money. I want people that want to hire the expert. I want people that want to be hands-off because we are busy professionals. When I hire someone, I want the person that can do the job. I don't want to do the job alongside them.
Exactly.
So those were the people that I wanted, and I found that people that were unable or unwilling to spend the money, they didn't have that mindset. So I was able to kind of separate.
Makes sense. And being okay with that. Because, you know, we're not called to serve everybody. We just aren't. We're called to serve who we're called to serve.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that like attracts like. You know, you put out there, hey, I like nice things, and I want people who also like nice things because that's what I'm going to provide.
Right. And
that's how I operate at Inspire Primary Care. If you want a doctor that's a text away, an email away, you want to be able to hop on phone and video, you want high quality care at the tip of your fingertips, well, there's a certain type of person that's going to value that.
Absolutely.
And I'm here to serve that person.
I love that.
So I get that. I'm right there with you. So books, podcasts, and resources. I love to know what women like you, what you're reading, what are you listening to, what have been like key things along your journey where you're like, oh, reading this or hearing this, like this changed the game on my journey. Is there anything that sticks out to you?
Absolutely. So for one, I am a spiritual woman. Okay, I believe in God and Jesus Christ. So I don't want to just say spiritual,
right?
But I am a Christian.
Right.
woman.
It's not the universe.
Okay? It's not the universe.
Okay.
It's Jesus.
Yes.
Just to be clear. But for me, sermons was my number one go-to. Okay. So
anybody in particular?
Absolutely. Sarah Jakes Robert. I will be at her conference this year. Every year I go. But I found that spiritual grounding and just finding what God says about you in the Word is that, I mean, it could sound cliche, but it is truly what ignites my spirit to go and take action on anything, number one. Alongside that, one of the books that I absolutely love, I cannot think of the author, but We Should All Be Millionaires.
Oh yes, that's Rachel Rogers.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I love that book.
The art.
I love that book.
When I tell you, I immediately went and hired a personal chef, a housekeeper.
Yeah,
like I immediately
you gotta give me
like,
your personal chef contact.
Absolutely. Listen.
I know. I was like, oh, I need my assistant. I need this. That really changed the game.
Changed the game. There is another book. I really welcome people to read this. I don't know if you've heard of it. Oversubscribed.
No, I haven't. I gotta read that one.
Oversubscribed. Again, I really wish I had the authors.
Oh, we'll Google it. We'll Google it.
Oversubscribed. And then the last one is Becoming the Woman God Wants Me to Be. The Proverbs 31. Have you read that?
I haven't read that one. This is why I asked, because I'm getting
that
book
was the first
together.
book. Personal development, growth, all of that. That is so important to me. Again, it started with the sermons, and then I went into Becoming the Woman God Wants Me to Be, and then it was all these things open to me. So I like to see what other people are doing.
I love those. So how are you balancing business and wellness in this season? This is a question we ask every guest.
Oh, girl, I could do a lot better.
Gotta put my doctor hat on for a second.
As you should. And listen, I am the person you need to say, Jazmine, listen. You know what? Wellness just right now, the focus is mindset. I want to get better into the physical aspect. At one point, I was in the gym, but now the children have transitioned into school. So I think for me, some of those changes kind of throw me off, and I use it as an excuse.
Yes.
To be lazy. Let's just be serious.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I did say it. I'm gonna call myself out. But it is a priority for me. So like, I just made a home gym. I'm trying to think of things to make it more convenient.
Yes.
So that's one of the things I do try to do. I try to remove the barriers and say, how can I make this as easy as possible for me to build this new habit that I know is going to make me better?
I love it. But you have the introspection and you're like, I know what I need to do. I'm starting to make some moves towards it. You got to join Inspire Primary Care so we can get you on your personalized wellness plan.
Yes.
But you're in motion. And what I love about that is it's real. It's not like, oh, I've got the business, I got the husband, I got the this, and I work out 5 times a day and eat kale and tofu.
Right.
Like, we all are a work in progress in some areas. So, all right, that's why I asked. Because I got to check in. How we doing with the wellness? And
I'm going to get there, I promise.
All right, I'm going to be on you. I'm going to help be your accountability partner.
I love that.
Okay, so let the She Inspires fam know, where can they find you on socials?
You know what? You can find us at Create Me LV. So that's CreateMeLV. You can find us on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is my primary tool that I use for that, as well as TikTok, so I'm building that. Additionally, I don't think we talked about this, but my husband and I, so because we work together, one of our passions is connecting with other like-minded couples who are entrepreneurs themselves. It doesn't have to be both of them, but if there's an entrepreneur, someone in the relationship has that leg, then we want to connect with them. So that platform is Love and Money Couplepreneurs.
I love it.
Love,
and that's on
Money.
Instagram?
That's on Instagram. And so just building the community and making sure that we have the socialization and the connection with other people. So it's not so much business because all we do is business. This is kind of the debrief of that.
Building a community.
Building the community.
I love that. We need support.
Yes.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today on the She Inspires podcast. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Drop a comment, leave a review to the podcast. Let us know how we're doing. If you got any value out of this, let us know. And then join us on Instagram at Dr. Jade MD, at Dr. Jade MD. Join the fam. And on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Share this podcast with a busy professional woman that you know that's trying to balance business, wellness, marriage, all the things. And join us on the next episode of the She Inspires podcast.